There was a season in my life where I took a lot of time to do a lot of research, a lot of reading, just to understand how the elite of the elite in the global scale interpret reality and make decisions. If you follow me in this video, you will learn things that will change the rest of your life. Because how we interpret reality and make decisions determine the quality of our lives. So in this research and studies, because I wanted to make sure that I understand how to interpret reality as a person, as a leader, and of course, how to make better decisions to succeed in my own life. And of course, in my job as a consultant, as a trainer, as a coach, I help a lot of people in different industries from different walks of life to make important decisions like business decisions, career decisions, finance decisions, investment decisions, and so on. I would have added marriage, but I don't go around that. That was just for fun, right? But this was a very important study for me, and I took time to study. I spent some time to read how the best politicians in top countries like the United States, UK, Germany, and all these different countries, how do the elite politicians in these countries make decisions? There are research papers around that from amazing universities like Princeton University. And I also took time to begin to analyze and study how do the top business leaders and top corporate leaders get to make decisions. I wanted to understand this because these guys are literally shaping the world and succeeding. And if you are below them, if you are among the masses, for example, if you are in the average class, in the middle class, you need to begin to learn from them and apply what they are applying to get to where they are. And this is one of the major differences that exist between the masses, the average people, the middle class, the lower class, and the elite performers in the society. How they interpret reality and how they make decisions. So in this video, I have a couple of thoughts down. I will begin to show you how elite decision makers interpret reality and make decisions. And I learned a couple of things, and I want to share with you guys today the 8 powerful elements that you need to know when it comes to interpreting reality and of course making decisions. And I believe because what the things that I learned literally changed my life, and of course I'm still learning and I'm still applying, I'm still developing, but I am not where I used to be. And I believe that for those of you in this community, especially most of you in my mentorship programs and different training programs, if you understand this, I can guarantee you, you're going to improve your life. You will literally 10x your life because at any moment, when you understand how to interpret reality the right way and how to make the right decisions, quality decisions, you will literally always consistently improve the quality of your life and the quality of your work. So I have a question for you. Have you ever really thought or asked yourself this question? How do I interpret reality and how do I make decisions? For example, maybe you're following this right now. You're in a difficult situation in your life. You're in a difficult spot in your life. How are you interpreting the reality? Or are you just allowing your emotions to take the lead? Have you spent time to really interpret the reality that you are in? This is a quote that I wrote down, and I said, success in life is not determined by the circumstances that we face, but by how we perceive these circumstances and how we respond to these circumstances. This is one of my principles that I live by in life. Success in life is not determined by the circumstances that you and I face, but by how we perceive these circumstances and how we respond to these circumstances. Because, in the pursuit of success, one of the most fundamental yet often overlooked factors in how we interpret reality and make decisions is often paying attention to these things. Sometimes many people have never even thought about this, right? So, the way we understand the world around us, follow me carefully. The way we understand the world around us shape our beliefs and ultimately decide our actions. So, how you understand the world around you, how you understand your immediate environment, will shape your beliefs And this will ultimately decide the kind of actions that you take. And the kind of actions that you take literally determine the trajectory of your life, of your career, of your business, of your calling, and of course, your purpose. And what most people, perceive as reality is most of the time not the truth. Because most of the time people just react when they're in a circumstance. They have not spent the time, they have not paid the price to interpret the reality. So what most people perceive as the reality is not the truth, but it is mostly their own version of the reality based on where they are coming from. Because your perception, my perception, most of the time is shaped by our own biases, is shaped by our own emotional state, and is shaped by our past experiences. I can guarantee you, at this very moment, if you are in a difficult situation right now, or if you are in a place where you don't know what to do or where to go next, I can guarantee you that right now you are interpreting that reality from your own biases, from your own previous experiences, and of course, you're interpreting that from your present emotional state. Maybe you're in fear right now. Maybe you're in worry. Maybe you're anxious. These emotional states are determining how you are interpreting that reality, and you are not getting the right picture. And most of the time, this is why many people are stuck in situations, because these elements begin to define how they are interpreting the reality. And when they have the wrong interpretation, they are going to make the wrong decisions. And of course, or sometimes many people do not even make the decisions at all, and they stay in that spot for so long. So here's the point. A strategic person, which I am believing that after this teaching, you'll become a strategic person in interpreting reality and making decisions. A strategic person understands that reality is always continual, is changing, and their ability to adapt their mental frameworks, and of course, to reinterpret the situation, to reinterpret the world around them is important for making the right decisions. So, in the intricate dance of making decision making, how you and I perceive reality will profoundly, influence our choices. And this is the distinction that separates the elite in different industries and different sectors, and of course, the average people or the masses. For example, I deal a lot with business people. For example, you see, someone may interpret business failure as the end of life, as the end of their business career, if I may say so. While another person can see business failure as the opportunity for innovation and the opportunity for growth. So, this perception difference is the key separator between those who thrive in either business and career and those who stagnate in whatever they do. So now let me share with you that was a very deep and long introduction, but let me share with you right now this eight, I think I have eight elements that will help you to change how you perceive reality and how you make decisions. And these are things that when you understand them, I guarantee you, when you understand them, you will never let me say, you will never come to a point where you are feeling depressed, for example, about a situation or a difficult circumstance, right? So, number one is what I call cognitive frameworks. Cognitive frameworks. What does that mean? From my study and research, I discovered that the elites in different sectors, politics and business and even sport and career and the corporate ladder and so on, the elite employ, cognitive frameworks in in any situation. So they don't just allow a reality to define them, but they put to work their cognitive skills, their mindset. They pay the price to meditate, to think through, to analyze. You see that? So they employ cognitive frameworks to be able to process the reality, to process the complex information efficiently, because they understand that their ability to process the reality and to process the complex situation and information will allow them to make the right decision. And this skill of cognitive frameworking every situation allows the elite to have a nuanced understanding and a strategic foresight about that reality. So, in what am I saying? When you find yourself in any situation, to not be a person that is driven by your emotions or driven by how you feel or what other people say about the situation, develop and employ your cognitive skills. Spend time instead of worry, meditate and think through the process. Break down the entire process. Look at what went right and what went wrong. Think through, don't worry through. Think through. Wear the cap of a thinker to create, to engineer, to become the architect, to become the master analyzer of that situation, not because you want to worry, but because you want to create a way out of that situation. So, number one, the elite decision makers, when it comes to interpreting reality and decision making, is they employ cognitive frameworks. So, number two is uh, uh, um, where is that again in my notes? Number two is elite cues. Elite cues, right? Now, here's what that means. I was reading a paper by Martin Gillens and Naomi Murakawa. I hope I got the name right. And in this paper titled Elite Cues and Political Decision Making, published by Princeton University, they said, listen carefully, they said, among the many things I picked up from that paper, they said, leaders often rely, hear this, leaders often rely, these are elite leaders in the political setting in the United States. Leaders often rely on elite cues and signals from trusted sources to inform their decision. Or in other words, to interpret the reality and, of course, to inform their decision. Why? Because this practice of getting access to elite cues and of course signals from trusted sources will help them to streamline complex choices and of course align actions with established expertise. Right? So what's the lesson here? If you are going to interpret reality right, if you're going to make the right decision, you must come to a point where you have the right sources, where you get signals, you get cues, you get ideas and perspective. Here's what I put down here. I said, the point is the masses, the average people, the people who don't think, they don't have elite cues. They do not pay attention, they do not pay the price to get signals from trusted sources. The masses and the average people, they make decisions on face value information. For example, from platforms like social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, popular people, based on what they heard in casual conversations. No, elite thinkers, elite decision makers, they pay the price to get elite cues, to get signals from trusted sources. For example, if they're going through a situation or they want to make an important decision, what do? They can, buy the right books. For example, they can go online and research podcasts or YouTube channels that interview experts in what they are going through. And they begin to listen to those trusted sources. They can go to research platforms, they can look for research papers and they read. You see that these are trusted signals, these are trusted sources, these are elite cues. So they make decisions from these kind of sources. Now, this is why the elite people in business and politics and all of that, they are the highest people that pay consultants and coaches and other experts because they want to interpret realities. They want to make decisions from signals given to them by trusted sources. You see that? But the people, the masses and average people, they don't do this. So what am I saying? From today, when you are in a situation, don't make decisions based on what you heard by having a casual conversation with a friend or with a family member who you cannot even vet their expertise or their level of knowledge in that situation you're going through. Or don't see something on social media from a popular influencer that you cannot even trust their judgment and their ability to analyze anything, and then you make an important life decision based on just somebody on social media. Even if you are listening to me, if you have not followed me for long, you should not be able to take what I say to make a very important decision. Go deeper. That's what I'm saying. Go deeper. You can buy a book around a topic. For example, you see, my pastor always said that how can you be thinking of getting married and you have not read at least 5 books on relationships and marriage? It's the same like business. How are you thinking of building a great business when you have not bought books and you have not read books by people who have built businesses or business experts? You see the perspective. So get that. Number three is information processing. Information processing. Now, what I discovered in my research and study was that the elite players in all setting, they do a lot of information processing. The masses and the average people, when they get information, they apply, they deploy. But, but the elite people, when they get information, they process it, they understand it, they break it down, they meditate on it. It's very important. So practice information processing because elites excel in processing vast amount of information. And now this skill is very important in this age because we're in the age of this is the knowledge economy. So many YouTube channels, so many Facebook pages and LinkedIn pages and experts everywhere. So if you don't have this skill, you will literally be in the midst of so much information and yet you are a failure. And it's happening a lot in this dispensation. So the elite excel in processing vast amounts of information. Why are they doing that? So that they can be able to understand patterns, they can discern patterns, they can understand implications that inform strategic decisions. So this capability of processing information is crucial for you and I to be able to navigate complex environments. You see, I saw this clearly when I was reading this paper titled How the Political Elite Make Decisions. And for example, one thing I picked from this paper was that, political leaders in any country, they are always faced with what you can call the influence of environmental noise. The influence of environmental noise. And I think that all of us are experiencing this. We are experiencing the influence of environmental noise. Noise from social media, noise from friends, noise everywhere. So when you want to make an important decision, you literally, there is noise everywhere around that. Now imagine a politician who is trying to make an important decision on radio. They're talking about that situation on TV. They're talking about it on social media. The same thing on newspapers and magazines and blogs and podcasts. There is noise everywhere about the situation where the public is expecting the political leader to make a decision. Now, what do you do in the midst of that environmental noise? The key thing is to understand information processing. Information processing. So the decision-making environment for political elite is often noisy, meaning it is filled with most of the time irrelevant information and distracting information. So this noise can impact the quality of decisions as it may obscure relevant data and lead to less optimal outcomes. So that is why you and I, we have to understand how to process information, break down information, what you gather, break down. And it links to the previous point I spoke about. That's why you should be careful where you gather the information. Gather information from trusted sources, from elite sources, so that it minimizes the kind of information that you're trying to process. If you gather information from every source, you're going to have so much to process and you have a decision to make that you don't have a lot of time. You get the point. Number four is decision making models. Decision making models. So this is where you come to a point where you are utilizing structured decision making models, such as rational decision making model. Because this is where the elite systematically evaluate options, leading to more informed and of course effective choices. So this model tries to understand all the alternatives on the table. So if you are using the decision-making model to interpret reality and to make decision, you come to a point where you have to do the heavy lifting, you do the hard work. You begin to break down what are all the alternatives available to me. You lay them down on the table, right? Number two, you take into account all these alternatives and their consequences and benefits. You lay them down on the table, and then you select the best one to move forward with, right? And the goal here is that you are picking the best way out that will help you to get things done and advance your life forward, or your career, or your business. Number five is adaptive thinking. One thing I learned was that the elite players practice adaptive thinking. The ability to adapt thinking in response to changing circumstances is the hallmark of elite decision making. So they are not narrow, as they are not like as it used to be, so shall it continue to be. They are not like that. So they have the growth mindset and not the fixed mindset. So they have the kind of mindset that can adapt based on the circumstances, but they maintain their core value. They don't miss out on their vision, on their purpose, but they have a mindset that adapts and advances as per the situation and the circumstances. So this will allow you to remain effective in a dynamic environment. Like in this dispensation, we are in the fastest changing business environment ever. The economy is changing so fast. Politics is changing so fast. Technology is changing so fast. Everything is changing so fast. So if you don't have adaptive thinking, you will not remain effective. So if you will be able to interpret any reality you are in right now and make quality decisions, you need to employ adaptive thinking. And just to add, I'm not saying that when you want to make a decision or interpret reality, you have to use all of these points I'm sharing. No, I'm just giving you so many options and giving you awareness and expanding your mental capability so that you have a lot of tools in your toolbox to be able to make the right decision when the time comes. And I'm hoping that as you're listening to this right now, if you want to make an important decision, you already have some tools, some soft tools that can help you, get out of that situation. Number six, long-term vision. This is actually one of my favorite that I got to learn, especially from business elite leaders. And this is something I have been using before, but I was so happy that I saw that a lot of top leaders in different sectors actually practices long-term vision when it comes to interpreting any reality they are in, and of course making any important decision. So the point is that the elites, when it comes to practicing this element of long-term vision, is that the elites often prioritize long-term goals over short-term gains. So what that means is that when they are in a situation and they want to interpret the reality of that situation and make decisions, they are interpreting that reality based on their long-term vision. They are not interpreting based on what they want to gain now. They're interpreting based on their long-term vision. So they make decisions in terms of how will this, how is this reality working out in terms of my long-term vision? You see that? So the decision making here is to ensure sustainable success in the long term, and of course, resilience. So when you are in a situation, don't make decisions or interpret the situation based on how you feel. No. Consider your long term vision. That's why sometimes you can make some decisions now and go through pain, go through discomfort, go through certain things that people may not understand. But you are willing to go through those things now because of the long term vision that you are seeing and you are working towards. You see that? So that's why sometimes you don't judge people anyhow when they make some kind of decisions. You don't know what they are chasing after that made them to make a decision at this particular moment in time. The role of curiosity in innovation. The role of curiosity in innovation. You see, curiosity drives elite decision makers to explore new ideas and to challenge assumptions. I want to encourage you, be a curious person. Be a person who, when you want to interpret a reality or make a decision, ask so many questions. Be so curious. Elite decision makers are people who are very curious. They ask a lot of questions to explore new ideas and to challenge their own assumptions. And one of the best ways to interpret a reality correctly is to challenge your assumptions and sometimes agree that you may be wrong and challenge your present assumption with new ideas and questioning. So you use curiosity to do this. You see, and research shows that curiosity enhances learning and creativity, leading to more innovative solutions. So if you are in a situation and you want to interpret that situation the right way and make the right decisions, you need to employ the concept of curiosity. Ask so many questions, generate so many new ideas, challenge your own assumptions, receive feedback from trusted experts before you make the right move. And finally, number 8 is, of course, the role of vision in decision making. I'm coming back to this because I like the way this was put in a document I was reading, and I'd like to explain it further. The role of vision in decision making and interpreting reality. You see, visionary leaders interpret reality through the lens of their long term goals, like I said earlier, rather than short term circumstances, right? So you are in a situation, you are interpreting the reality of that situation not based on how you feel, not based on your immediate gratification and what you want to gain right now. You have a lens you're using, and that lens could be your 10-year, 20 years, or 30-year vision. Could be your long-term purpose that you want to achieve. So your decisions are guided by, a deeply ingrained sense of purpose and a clear understanding of where you want to go. That is why your purpose is important. That is why knowing where you want to go in your career, in your business, in your leadership journey is very important, because you are going to face circumstances, you're going to face realities, that the only effective way to interpret that reality is for you to look at that reality from the lens of your long term vision. For example, let's say you want to get into a new relationship as a young lady. You cannot just date any kind of guy that comes your way, because when you have the right purpose and you have the right vision, apart from your feelings, apart from what you think and what people say, you can also begin to look at the personality of the gentleman, his mindset, his attitude, the way he see what he thinks about empowering women, and so on. And you can begin to make that relationship decision based on the lens of your purpose and long-term decision making. That was just an example, of course, out of many. So what am I saying? This clarity of vision serves as your compass, directing your choices and ensuring that each decision that you make is aligned with your overall goals and, of course, overall objective. So these are the 8 elements. And this topic is very important to have the right understanding and make sure that you come to a place as a leader in your life's journey where you have superior knowledge and superior tools in the way that you interpret any reality that you find yourself in, and of course, how you make your decisions. And I believe that if you begin to look at life and go through challenges and difficulties, because we all are going to face different challenges in life, and these challenges can either define us. And for some people, they go through some challenges and difficult seasons that it changed their own identity. But when you have the right tools in interpreting each reality and making the right decisions, the situations that you go through do not change your identity, but you tap into those situations and you become better and bigger in manifesting your greatest potential. And I'm challenging you, don't be the masses, don't be the average people, be the elite players in your industry, in your community. Start going forward and advancing forward. And of course, your life will literally keep getting better every single time. Keep building. Cheers.